is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the first regular season show since the last regular season show. I don't know when it was, April or May. I don't know, but we were just talking before the show. Like, it does not feel like it is the first hockey slate of the year. It's nice out. It's sunny. It's warm. We're here live before lock at 4 p.m. Eastern. That's just a weird time of the day. But, we did do a couple of, best ball shows over the summer. But this is the real deal. We are back. What is going on, Cliffy?
Yeah, not a whole lot. It's just a beautiful day outside here today. Sitting in the sun, doing a little bit of reading earlier, obviously after researching the slate this morning. Nice thing about the first slate of the season is we had pretty much all the information that we needed by last night. So projections and top stacks and everything was up nice and early. But yeah, interesting. These first couple days, today and tomorrow, they're short slates. Today's a 3-gamer, tomorrow's a 4-gamer. The slate doesn't really expand until Thursday. So not a whole, there is a lot to talk about just because it was a full off season, lots of changes, new coaches, injuries, all that stuff. So there's a lot to talk about, but we do only have 6 teams. I'm just excited for the hockey season to finally get here. Like, I was talking this morning in the Discord, it sucks that, the first game is Chicago Blackhawks. The next game is Pittsburgh and the Rangers. Like, you're a Rangers fan. I know you're interested. Maybe they'll be better than last year, playoff team, but I don't think they're a contender. The late game, which if I read right, the puck drop is at 10:50 Eastern, so 11:50 my time. This is going to be a late night. The late game looks interesting. Tomorrow's slate looks interesting, but we do have 6 teams on the board here tonight. This is one of those slates where I'm not necessarily looking forward to the games, but I do like the matchups. Like, from a DFS perspective, I think these make for 3 very intriguing matchups because, you have bad defensive teams, you have good defensive teams that were good defensively that might be less so now. Lots to break down. Excited about the NHL season. Let's get this thing going.
I'm excited about these matchups because I'm a New York Jets fan, and anything is better than watching the New York Jets. Even watching the Yankees get curb stomped by your Blue Jays is better than watching the New York Jets. But so got a couple of, cosmetic things we should talk about before we get into it here. First, if you are new, you're not a regular, welcome, because I know NBA doesn't start for 2 weeks. It is the best 2 weeks of the season for NHL usually. Yes, and I see, yes, we shaved our beards. Last year we didn't shave once. I don't know if we're doing that again. We didn't talk about that. We didn't even talk about it last year. It just kind of happens. But we do have a couple of deals for you, and as most of you do know, we are on the affiliate program. That means, if you join, go premium, which is not something that we make you do. But if you do want to go premium, that does support us directly. These shows will always remain free. We do have 2 really good promo codes for you for the start of this season. And one is more tailored towards new players. One is tailored towards, regulars. We have promo code PUCK, which is you get any NHL package for $1. That'll get you access for today and tomorrow. It renews at the full price on Thursday. If you are new to NHL, you really just want to give the data and the top stacks a try. This is a nice trial run for you to get a taste of NHL. The other one that we have is promo code CUP. That'll get you 30% off the NHL monthly package. I think it's $59.99. Get 30% off there. It's like $18 off. That's more towards the regular guys who kind of hang out all season. You know who you are. Maybe we'll get a couple new guys. You can try out that new package. You really love hockey. If you've never tried hockey, it is honestly, I know we're biased because we're the hockey guys. It is one of the funnest DFS sports. Is funnest even a word? We're off to a great start. But the issue with the NHL is it overlaps with NFL. and NBA. So once NBA gets into full swing, the prize pools kind of take a hit a little bit here. But, those are the 2 promo codes there. Also, we have promo codes, throughout the year if you do want to, re-up and you say, hey, Josh, I need a promo code. Just DM me. I'll get you one. But if you do want to sign up for premium, click that link in the chat. That'll take you where you need to go. That supports us directly, and we thank you. We do have a $10 super chat from Grade A Fantasy. Arden from Yonkers on the car phone. Welcome back, boys. Love the best puck shows. Another year of having the day off when the season starts. Good luck, everyone. If you can, please wish my wife, Elsie, a happy birthday. I'm pretty sure opening night last year was on her birthday, too. I remember doing this last year. Either that or I'm just being extremely creepy right now. But happy birthday to your wife. Thank you guys thank you for the super chat. Looking forward to seeing you in the chat all season, and good luck tonight.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Arden. We certainly always appreciate the support that you've shown us. Nice to have the day off for the first games, especially where the first lock is at 5:00 Eastern, so it starts a little bit earlier. Nice to have that day off, and happy birthday, Elsie. Thanks for allowing Arden to hang out with us. I mean, maybe she's in here lurking as well. Either way, thanks a lot for the support. Let's have a really good season.
Yeah, and how much cash is Noah Lava going to win us tonight? Every single nickel that is available. No, but we'll talk about that game. Another thing I wanted to talk about beforehand, if you're new here, some of the things that we mentioned, we referenced the top stacks a good bit. I just wanted to give you like a quick top stacks 101, right? You have the team, you have the line, it has the players on the line. That's the simple part, right? Like, as long as you're hooked on Phonics, you're still with us. Then you have the line salary. Obviously, that's how much it costs to play that line. Top 2 stack percentage. That means that's what the chances of that line has to be a top 2 stack on the slate. So, for example, our top stack tonight is the Rangers' second line of Panarin, Trocheck, and Lafreniere. They have a 30.1% chance of being a top 2 stack. That also means they have a 69.9% chance of not being a top 2 stack. Just because they are the top stack in the top stack, that does not mean they automatically are going to be the top stack. So if you hear us reference that, that's what that means. The most important one to me is the ownership. The Rangers' second line, we'll just stick with this line, they have a 30.6% ownership share. That does not mean that every single player on the line is going to be 30.6%. You'll probably see Trocheck, you'll probably see Panarin a bit higher in some spots. What it means is if you stack all 3 of those players together, we're expecting 30% of the MME field. These are with the 150 max, the Lotto tournament. We're expecting 30.6% of that field to have a full 3-man Rangers second line stack. And I just wanted to get that out of the way now because Colorado, we're going to see a ton of Nathan McKinnon one-offs tonight, but that line as a whole is coming in less owned than people might anticipate. And I don't want to wake up to 87 DMs saying, you told me Nathan McKinnon is going to be 15% and he was 51% or something. The line as a whole is going to be less owned than Nathan McKinnon tonight. So I just wanted to give you the top stacks 101 here. But we have 3 games in the crank. We should probably get into it since the first game locks in under 50 minutes. Chicago Blackhawks with a 2.2 total. Highest they've had this season. Heading into Florida, they have a 3.3 total. Now, Alexander Barkov probably out for the season. Matty Tkachuk probably out until at least December. They are in shambles. They're coming off back-to-back Stanley Cups. It is very rare that you can go back-to-back in the cup and be fully healthy going into that third season. It's just, the Barkov injury was bad luck. But Tkachuk got hurt during the Four Nations Cup. He played through it. He needed surgery. He's getting fully healthy now. So Florida going with Sam Bennett, Carter Verhaeghe, Brad Marchand, Sam Reinhart, Anton Lundell, E2D2, Luosterainen, Mackie Samoskevich, Evan Rodriguez, Jesper Bockquist. Chicago going Bedard, Burakovsky, Donato, Teravainen, Nazar, Bertuzzi, Mikheyev, Dickinson, Doc. Now, obviously, Florida is the biggest favorite on the board. They have the second highest total on the slate. I'm pretty sure Chicago is without Alex Vlasic here tonight.
Yeah, they confirmed he's out.
Yeah, he's probably their best defensive defenseman, more than likely. So that is a big loss there. But, without Barkov, without Tkachuk, they're going to be searching for these new line combinations. And, Bennett, Verhaeghe, Marchand, I think they did play a little bit together in the regular season last year. It isn't a huge sample, so I wouldn't read much into it. But, going up against the Blackhawks is always a good time. But, yeah, they played 22 minutes last year. It's a very small sample. They were pretty decent offensively, really bad defensively, but that sample is really small. They'll be more than likely going out against Bedard line. And listen, Bedard and Donato had decent offensive numbers last year. Most of that obviously wasn't with Burakovsky, who wasn't on the team last year. I don't think he's going to help them defensively. These Chicago lines are still really poor defensively. So it's really, what do you want to do with Florida here? 3.3 total. I forget the guy's name in chat. He's asked me about it. Ziegler 77. He's like, isn't Florida one a bit weird? Like Bennett, Verhaeghe, Marchand, like they're three kind of shoot first kind of guys. And I kind of agree with that. Like, I don't know what their chemistry is going to look like. I still think they're a really good play here at 19-1, 28.4% top two stack, 20.9% ownership. Like, the issue I'm running into in single entry and three max for me is Colorado 1 is only $1,100 more. And, McKinnon, Martin Necas, and whomever were running over anybody and everyone last year. So it's kind of hard for me to get there in single entry, especially because they don't have a big sample together. I like all three players in a nutshell. I just don't know how they're going to mesh. So for me, I don't mind going down to Lundell, Reinhart, Luosterainen. See, Lundell he needs to take a step forward offensively here this season. He'll be able to replicate probably like 75, 80% of what Barkov did defensively. He's a good defensive player. It's just offensively, he needs to take that step up. But playing with Reinhart certainly helps. 15,300. They are a little bit chalky at 24.6% projected ownership. But again, once you get past the Bedard line, which is already bad defensively, you just want to avoid Dickinson, Mikheyev, which they will. Like, there's no way Nazar, Teravainen, and Bertuzzi are going to be good defensively. So, like, I don't mind Florida 2 here. It's just, if I'm going to go play Colorado 1, I'm going to need a bit cheaper of Florida line. So if you want a one-off Mackie Samoskevich, do two-man with Evan Rodriguez, I think that's fine. A one-off Reinhart. I'm more likely to one-off guys from these early games from the Florida side than full-on stack in single entry, because to me, Colorado 1 is the best play on the slate, and we'll talk about why when we get there. On the Chicago side, I honestly don't mind Bedard, Burakovsky, Donato. Without Barkov, I still think they'll be a decent defensive team, but Barkov is legitimately one of the best defensive centers in the league. I don't mind Bernard Donato. If you want to add in Burakovsky, you can. I think that's more of an MME play at 14.9, 6.4% top two stack, 5.1% projected ownership. Like, maybe they go out against Lundell Reinhart. Maybe they see Bennett Verhaeghe and, maybe, Florida takes a bunch of penalties, which has been their MO the past few years, and they get there on the power play. I'm more likely to one-off Bedard or two-mana him with Donato than full-on stack and single entry. I think an MME getting over the field at 5% projected ownership would be something I'm looking to do. I honestly don't mind Chicago too as well, especially if you're spending up. Like I don't think you need to go like absolutely crazy here. They're coming in at 1.8%. I think if you have them 5 to 10% in your portfolio, I think that's fine. Franklin Nazar is someone I'm high on. He's on the top power play. He is a very quick little center. I think he can take a step forward this year. But really, this is a Florida game. And I think the more lineups you make, the more likely I will get to Chicago Skaters.
Yeah, I want to talk about the impact of the losses. I mean, I'll start on the Chicago side. You talked about Alex Vlasic. I mean, I think there's a world where this season he cements himself as the team's best defensive defenseman. I think maybe it's at least a conversation with Connor Murphy right now, but certainly he'd be in the top two. And they're relying on a lot of young guys like Levshunov and Rinzel, and Wyatt Kaiser's fine, but is he a top 4 NHL defenseman right now? I think that jury's still out. So Alex Vlasic is a pretty big, he is, whether we think he's their best defensive defenseman, he's their number one defenseman. And when you're a team that finished bottom 5 in the league for year after year, losing your number one defenseman is always a tough loss. On the Florida side, I'll start with Barkov. There's no way around it. You can't replace him. The guy's a top 5 center in the NHL. You know what I mean? Like unless you go out and you trade for Austin Matthews or something, like you're just not replacing him. Like I know they like to call Anton Lundell Baby Barkov. Great. He's Baby Barkov. He's not Alexander Barkov. You know what I mean? And in fact, when I was looking at this slate, if you look at the last couple seasons, Florida's goal rate when Reinhart's on the ice without Barkov goes down like 23%. Reinhardt's shot rate goes down 12%. His points rate goes down 25%. Like it's a pretty big loss not having him as the center. Like Bennett, fine as the 2C. Anton Lundell, great third line center. Neither of them are anywhere close to Alexander Barkov. So that is a loss. Matty Tkachuk is also a pretty big loss. Now, the difference between him and Barkov is, I think, where Florida loses out with Barkov, both offensively and defensively. Without Tkachuk, by far the bigger impact is on offense. If you look at Sam Bennett's numbers over the last couple of years, without Tkachuk on his wing, Florida's goal rate goes down 43% when Bennett is on the ice. His points production goes down 36%. It is at even strength. It is drastic. All of a sudden you're looking at like a fringe top line center by, per minute production to firmly a second, if not like a high end third line center. Now, Carter Verhaeghe, Brad Marchand, both good wingers. Again, neither of them are close to Matt Tkachuk. Like Matt Tkachuk is a top 10 winger in hockey. You could probably say top 5 winger in hockey. Barkov is a top 5 center in hockey. You don't just, don't just replace those guys. And on top of that, it's not like Florida was a great scoring team last year either, right? Last year at even strength, Florida was 23rd in the league behind Boston, the Islanders, Anaheim, like behind some pretty bad teams. This is a team that thrived defensively. So listen, this is a great matchup for Florida, and that's why I would still consider them. And honestly, if I was probably to go anywhere, I think it would be Reinhart, Lundell, and Luostarinen. The reason for that is, Florida's power play, their shot rate goes down nearly 20% when Barkov, their top power play, when Barkov isn't there. So I'm not as, stoked to power play stack Florida or anything like that. So I'm not super concerned about power play correlation. Lundell and Reinhart, going back years, back to when Mason Marchment was there, they've typically been above average to well above average offensively at 5-on-5 when they're on the ice together. They're coming in with a fair bit of ownership, but there's not a lot of top end defensemen here tonight. But like if you're playing Cale Makar or something like that, and you're looking for a couple mid-range lines, I think Florida 2 would be the one that I would look at. I do think Florida one is fine, but the point that you made between them and Colorado, I think is the important one here. Like, I'd rather just pay the $1,000+ and go play Colorado one, as opposed to this Florida line, where if they're kind of what they've been without Matt Tkachuk over the last couple of years, whenever he's been injured or out of the lineup for one reason or another, this is a wildly overpriced line, even in this matchup. So, I think for me, it'd be Florida 2. I think Florida 3 is passable if you need like a complete filler line. Like Evan Rodriguez, like he won't put up monster shot numbers because he doesn't get a ton of ice time, but his per minute shot volume is fine. Mackie Samoskevich, we're both, I think, big Samoskevich enthusiasts. Like, he had a really good rookie season. Now, he couldn't crack the lineup regularly in the playoffs. He only played like 3 or 4 games or something like that. But I mean, he's a rookie on, one of the best teams, one of the best forward rosters that we've seen in the NHL over the last 20 years. So, like, I'm not really going to hold that against him. If you want to do like a Samoskevich Rodriguez 2-man or something like that, I think it's fine. But I think Florida 2 would be where I would go. But I'm going to be honest, I think I have more interest in the Chicago side here. The top line is interesting. I will note that, Donato and Bedard were slightly above average offensively last year together 5-on-5. I don't want to make that seem like it's a diss, because being slightly above average offensively on that Chicago Blackhawks roster is nothing short of a miracle. Bedard at least should get a ton of ice time, like over 20 minutes. They're not coming in with a ton of ownership. I think this is kind of the problem, is that Gustav Forsling and Aaron Ekblad are still healthy, and whether Barkov is on the ice or not without them, they're just straight up one of the best defensive defense pairs in the NHL. If you look at their numbers, even without Barkov on the ice, it's like well below 2 goals per 60 minutes of 5-on-5 over the last couple of years, and like the league average is like 2.5. So they're 25% better than league average. It's crazy. That's without Barkov. So like, I think it's a really tough matchup for Bedard and Burakovsky. You mentioned that second line. I think the second line is what's kind of interesting to me here, because Frank Nazar is one of those guys I'd peg for a breakout. There's an analyst I follow on Twitter. His name's Chris Watkins. One way he kind of analyzes skating abilities by penalty differential. And if you look at Nazar last year, his penalty differential, remember, he was a rookie that only played like 55 games or something like that. His penalty differential on a per minute basis was top 10 in the league. And this is a rookie playing second line minutes on a bad team. I think he led Team USA in scoring at the World Championships when the team won a gold medal. Like, this is a guy that I think we're going to look back at the end of the season as like, holy hell, Frank Nazar finished with 28 goals and 59 points or something like that. You know what I mean? Tuvo Teravainen, he had a good season last year. Tyler Bertuzzi, like, he's a solid second liner for a team this bad. And they're going to avoid that Forsling Ekblad matchup at 12,700. They're basically a filler line. They're all perfectly correlated on the power play, by the way. They're running Connor Bedard plus Chicago 2. Chicago 2 coming in under 2% ownership, 2.5% top 2 stack. I think that's kind of where my interest is in this game. I will also shout out the third line, Dickinson, Mikheyev, Doc. Doc looks like he might be a decent goal scorer. Maybe he can be a 20-goal guy a few years down the road. I don't think he's that right now, but Mikheyev had 20 goals last year. Basically, other than the 1 year he injured his wrist, his 82-game paces has been for like 20 to 25 goals. Jason Dickinson is hurt right now. Like, I think he's playing through some sort of wrist injury or hand injury or something like that. That makes me kind of nervous. So between Dickinson playing injured, Bedard running into that Forsling Ekblad pairing, I think my interest is in Chicago too. So I think, generally speaking, in this game, my interest on both sides is on the second lines.
Yeah, I generally agree with you there. I think obviously we'll get to the goalies at the end, but Spencer Knight certainly I had circled. There's only 6 goalies on the slate, so it's not like that is breaking the wheel. But let's move on to the next one here. We have the Pittsburgh Penguins with a 2.5 total heading into Madison Square Garden. The Rangers have a 3.5. Rangers going Miller, Zibanejad, Cooley, Panarin, Trocheck, Lafreniere, Radish, Laba, Connor Sheary. Pittsburgh going Crosby, Raquel, Koivunen, Malkin, Mantha, Justin Brazeau, and then Ben Kindle, Philip Tomasino, and Tommy Novak. Normally, I wouldn't even mention them, but when you get Fox and Gavrikov off the ice for the Rangers, it is gonna be a circus. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about Pittsburgh first. Crosby's still Crosby, right? He is still an elite center in this league, no matter what you want to say about him. The dude has fallen off a little bit defensively, but at almost 40 years old, he is still a very, very good offensive player. It kind of sucks that Rust is hurt, but with Raquel there, Koivinen's not some random guy. Like he was in the top 6 for a lot of the year last year. Granted, it was a pretty bad team, and this team is god awful. But Koivunen is a guy who can hang with Crosby up there. The issue that I'm running into with Pittsburgh 1 here is they're going to see all of that Fox Gavrikov pairing and all of Igor Shesterkin. So you can say whatever you want about the Rangers defensively. Fox Gavrikov, if they stay together, will be one of those like Ekblad, Forsling, Mikey Anderson, Gavrikov type deals. They will be elite defensively. So in single entry, I'm absolutely out on Pittsburgh 1 at 14.3% projected ownership. It is a pretty much fade across the board for me there. If you are 150 maxing and you have some FOMO there, you can get a little bit there. But I don't really like Pittsburgh 1 here. It is Crosby, so again, if you want some, that's fine. Where I kind of want to get to Pittsburgh here is the second and third lines. And, I don't really want to stack a Malkin, Mantha, Brazeau line. That just sounds disgusting. I'd be more likely to go to, Kindle, Tomasino, Novak, and I don't think you need to full stack there. I think you can do like a one-off Tomasino, a one-off Novak, a two-man there. You want a one-off Malkin, one-off Mantha. I think that is fine because once you get past Gavrikov and Fox, I think it was Carson Soucy and Will Borgen. They were atrocious last season together. Now, Schneider's also coming off shoulder surgery. He's not fully healthy, and he's playing with Urho Vakanainen. I think they can, as a third pair, be league average for a third pair right now. I don't think, they're going to be anything special. So I want to pick on the Rangers when Fox and Gavrikov are off the ice, and that is the depth of Pittsburgh, which is disgusting, but I don't mind a one-off Tomasino, one-off Novak, one-off Malkin, a one-off Mantha, something like that. Again, it is going against Igor Shesterkin, who arguably is, obviously you can say Hellebuck, probably easily a top 3 goal in the NHL. So I'm kind of mum on Pittsburgh. I definitely prefer the depth here. My interest is on the Rangers side. Archer's Silov is in net for Pittsburgh. I don't know if that's better or worse than Tristan Jarry. Like I said in the chat, it's like putting lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig at the end of the day. Jarry had a terrible season last year. Silov's for Vancouver wasn't good at all. This Pittsburgh team is not going to be good defensively, like I just alluded to before. Sidney Crosby has fallen off defensively. Even when Rust was there, they were playing pond hockey at the best of times. So it is going to be a lot of up and down hockey for this Pittsburgh club. Now, it is a new coach for the Rangers, Mike Sullivan, who was the Pittsburgh coach last year. So I don't know his tendencies with this Rangers team. I don't know who they're going to send out against the Crosby line. If I had to guess, it would probably still be Trocheck, Panarin, and Lafreniere, but I don't fully know yet because we haven't seen it in the regular season. The issue I'm running into at this line is 30.6% projected ownership, and they don't fit with Colorado 1. You do get 2 of the 3 on the top power play. The Rangers should have a good power play, but Mike Sullivan historically has had atrocious power plays no matter who he had. He had prime Crosby and Malkin and Letang, and they were still bad. You know what I mean? So, I don't know what kind of Mike's secret sauce he's tossing out on the power play there, but generally they haven't been great. But you do get 2 of the 3 guys there. I do worry about Panarin not completely being healthy. He missed a lot of time in the preseason. But I think for me, I would save the 1,200 and go to Miller, Zibanejad, Cooley. Now, last year, Mika Zibanejad did not have a great season until JT Miller got there. He still didn't have a great season, but his numbers vastly improved as soon as he got as soon as he got away from being a center and next to JT Miller. Now, Zibanejad still takes a lot of faceoffs, but JT Miller has the defensive center responsibilities, which I think helps Zibanejad a lot. And Will Cooley is just the Tasmanian devil. So, there is no resistance in the pit middle six here that I really worry about. I prefer Zibanejad, Miller, Cooley, just because you save the 1,200. You still get 2 of the 3 guys on the top power play. Again, this pit team is really bad. If you want to drop down to the third line, they're pretty much min price. I think Taylor Radish is 2,600. There's 7,600. I don't think you need a full stack. If you need a min price guy, Noah Laba, Taylor Radish, just one of those guys. I do not advocate full stacking here. So for me, I think both the top 6 Rangers lines are in play. I lean the Miller line just for the savings and the less ownership. I'm out on Pittsburgh 1. I think some one-offs of the Pittsburgh middle 6 is fine, but again, don't really like stacking against Igor Shesterkin.
Yeah, I agree with you on Pittsburgh 1. One of the reasons why I'm not super high on them. It's the same thing with Bedard going up against Forsling and Ekblad. Going up against Fox and Gavrikov just feels like it's going to go very poorly for Pittsburgh 1. I would say the one thing in their favor is that 14% ownership against a 21% top 2 stack, right? Is there is positive leverage on them. And I mentioned it in our Discord, and you talked about it. Ville Koivunen is not just some guy that they're throwing up there. A couple of years ago, he was in the Finnish men's league. He had the best points per game mark of any 20-year-old player in the Finnish men's league in over 20 years. And then last year, he was in the AHL, and he was top 5 for points from a rookie. This is a guy who, in the Finnish men's league and in the AHL, produced a ton. And he played 9 games, I think, in the NHL, and he had 8 points. This is a guy who everywhere he's gone, he's produced. Now, he's not a goal scorer. He's not a shooter. That's kind of the thing is I don't think he's going to put up even if he plays a full season in the top 6, he's not going to have a ton of 5-shot bonuses on DraftKings. That's one thing that kind of hurts him. But I think he's already kind of showing himself to be a very good playmaker. I think that's something that will help the Penguins in their top line. 4,900 is kind of a steep price for him on DK, but it's not like there's a ton of options that are way more expensive that I'd be or way cheaper that I'm I'd rather go play him. Maybe Gabriel Landeskog, we'll get to that game in a second. Anthony Manta's in this game, Warren Fogle. There's just not a ton of guys under 5K, the winger range, 4 to 5K, where I'm oh yeah, Koivunen's overpriced. He seems kind of fairly priced given where they have everybody else. So I think the argument for me for playing Pittsburgh is that Koivunen's probably very underrated. And, Raquel, you mentioned Raquel and Crosby just playing pretty much pond hockey last year, just racing up and down the ice. All it takes is one bad bounce, one good power play, and all of a sudden, that line is really cooking. So I don't mind Pittsburgh 1. I think for me, it'd be one of those things if I was playing, 20 lineups, maybe I have a couple Pittsburgh 1s. The single entry, I think it might be kind of tough, but I do think there's a case for playing them. Pittsburgh 2, the thing with Malkin is he's still a good playmaker. It's just he's bad defensively and doesn't shoot. You know what? He's honestly, yeah, he's basically Ville Koivunen now. Honestly, and that kind of sucks. Now, I think that's good for Anthony Mantha, all things told. Justin Brazeau, I guess he's there as a protector or something. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't think that line's going to stay together for very long. I think a Malkin Mantha 2-man is fine. I kind of think it's a third line that would be more interesting to me. Just because, I know the Rangers fans in our Discord chat seem high on Laba. I'm kind of skeptical myself. I don't think the fourth line is going to be super good either. You mentioned how poor those second and third pairs for the Rangers look once you get past Gavrikov and Fox. Benjamin Kindle, he's not a shooter either. He looks like he's going to be a playmaker. Tommy Novak, he had a down year last year, but for like 2.5 years, he was like a great playmaker. Philip Tomasino is like the definition of a shooter. Like that entire line is 10K. Feels like if you're going with like an expensive Colorado stack and you need to dip down somewhere, like Pittsburgh 3 kind of feels like where I would go. I don't know if I would full stack, but like Kindle Tomasino, Tomasino Novak, like something like that. I think that's perfectly fine because once you get into the bottom half of the roster for the Rangers, I don't think that they have an advantage over the Penguins in any way, shape, or form. So I think I'm much more interested in the depth from the Penguins than I am in the top of the lineup. It's the other way around for me with the Rangers. I'm with you. I'm way more interested in the top of the lineup than I am the depth of the Rangers. For me, it'd probably be Miller, Zibanejad, and Cooley. You talked about how good Zibanejad and Miller, or how well they produced last year. They were really good. Zibanejad, his primary points per 60 minutes took a huge jump once JT Miller got there. I don't know if they're going to hard match. Like you talked about line matching, like Mike Sullivan with the Penguins, like, sometimes he'd send Crosby out, sometimes he'd send Malkin out, sometimes he'd send the third line out. I'm not super worried about the matching. And honestly,
he vibes.
Yeah. And I don't care who they match against on the Penguins, honestly. For me, I'm with you. I think Miller, Zibanejad, and Cooley is probably where I would go. Now, if you want to go to Panarin, Trocheck, Lafreniere, I have no issue with that. They had a down year last year. Even their down year is like 90th percentile in the league. They had a fantastic year the year before. I'm with you, though. Like, I'm kind of worried, like, is Panarin really 100%? And if he is close to 100%, like, he didn't have much preseason to get his legs under him at all. So I think, I know Miller missed some time too, but at least he was in preseason. For me, I think I'm more interested in Miller, Zibanejad, and Cooley than I am in Panarin, Trocheck, and Lafreniere. And I really don't have any interest in the Rangers' bottom 6.
Yeah. I mean, listen, the Rangers' bottom 6 is bad. But, Noah Laba looked good in the preseason. We're inhaling the copium because last year was such a train wreck that the expectations are so low. But if they break up Fox and Gavrikov, it's just going to be a circus. But we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, as Arden pointed out, it's a new season. He was bad last year in the NHL. Like, there is a reason why the Vancouver Canucks had, Kevin Lankinen was kind of bad in the second half of the season. Thatcher Demko's health concerns are always up in the air, and they were still like, yeah, we'll trade you Shelovs right now. Like, that's kind of what, Vancouver's nowhere near set in net, and they're like, yeah, you guys can have them. So that's, take that for what it's worth.
Before we get to the last game here, I just wanted to say again, welcome in everybody. If you're new here, this is hockey. It's the best DFS sport. The prize pools don't agree. Bacon agrees. He is very fired up for hockey season, but we do have 2 deals for you if you want to click the link in the chat and you do want to go premium. If you are a new to hockey guy, we have a $1 deal using promo code PUCK. That will get you access today and tomorrow, no matter what ownership or no matter what premium package you use. That is promo code PUCK. Access today. Tomorrow renews at full price on Thursday. If you are a regular and you want a deal off the monthly, you can use promo code CUP, 2 guys, 1 cup. That'll get you 30% off any NHL monthly package. That is a good deal. It'll get you about, $20 off the month. But yeah, just if you do want to support us further, you don't have to go premium. These shows will remain free. Click the link in the chat, use promo code CUP, use promo code PUCK, and go from there. Let's talk about the last game of the slate, and it locks at like 3 a.m. It is Colorado Avalanche with a 3 total heading into Los Angeles. The Kings also have a 3 total. Now, I think a couple of reasons why Colorado's total is suppressed. It did come up during the day, but this game was a pick'em for a while. I think it still might be. I don't know why. The Avs are minus 118 favorites now. It was minus 110, minus 110.
I mean, oh, sorry. I do think part of it is Blackwood's hurt, right? It's Scott Wedgwood, not Blackwood. Like, I don't think it's a difference, not a chasm, but I do think that matters.
Yeah, but what also matters is, last year going into LA was an absolute grind because Mikey Anderson, Vladislav Gavrikov at home, I think by certain metrics, were the best pair defensively in the league. Now you replace Vladislav Gavrikov with Cody Ceci. They also brought in Brian Dumoulin, and the pairs are, listen, I'm not knocking Drew Doughty. He's healthy. But, like, going from Gavrikov and Mikey Anderson to Doughty and Mikey Anderson is going to be a big defensive drop-off. And then you have Cody Ceci, who couldn't defend a folding chair from getting in the zone. They're going to take a big drop defensively. You couple that with the fact that McKinnon, Netchus, X, in this scenario, it's Arturi Lehkonen, they absolutely just run over anybody and everyone. And so, like, at the end, it's the same Kings coach. So at the end of the last year, they were sending out Byfield a bunch against top comp, Deneau a bunch against top comp. Do we have news on LaFerriere?
He's playing.
So, like, okay, like Byfield, Fiala, LaFerriere were excellent last year. But when they went out against top comp at home, that was with Mikey Anderson, Vladislav Gavrikov. Now, they still might be very good defensively. I just worry about that blue line. Like, that blue line is bad. It's like Rangers bad. So I do really, really like Colorado 1 here. They are very cheap, and that's the problem. They're 20,200. We saw them at times over 25K. I like Darcy Kemper. I just think he has a way worse blue line in front of him. McKinnon, Netchus, their numbers were absurd last year. I don't see that changing. They're coming in 25.2% top two stack, 11.6% projected ownership. Now, I guarantee you'll see McKinnon at 30% in some spots. He is going to be the most popular one-off on the slate. And like I say in seasons previous, one-offing these superstar players that are chalk is not the best idea. Because generally, if McKinnon's going to have a monster game, someone else is coming along for the ride. So I think you either go like McKinnon, Netchus, Makar, you full stack Colorado 1, you full stack Colorado 1 with Makar. I think the more pieces you add with Colorado, the more unique you'll get. I think you'll see a ton of one-off McKinnon lineups here tonight. And I don't want to say that's a fish play because, McKinnon can have like 40 DK points tonight and he'll be in the winning lineup. But, like, if he has 40 DK points, someone is coming along for the ride. It's just usually how it goes. So Colorado 1, pound for pound, dollar for dollar, my number one play on this slate. Colorado 2 is interesting. Brock Nelson got traded there last year, and he did not have a great second half of the season with Colorado. He is firmly on power play 1, though. They need a left shot. He is that guy. Valery Nichushkin, hot and cold last year. But the big difference here is Gabriel Landeskog is up there instead of like Logan O'Connor or Ross Colton, as the dogs just go nuts on the deck. But if Gabriel Landeskog is healthy, he is that guy who will solidify that top 6. I do really like that second line. They're a filler line that I'll use if I'm obviously not using Colorado 1, if I'm using, that Florida line. They're coming at 8% projected. Again, you're kind of cutting off your nose to spite your face playing Colorado without McKinnon, but I think you can do it on a short slate if you are firmly against, playing McKinnon, you want to fade the field. I think going to Colorado 2 here is fine. On the Kings side, obviously no Blackwood. It is the other wood. It is Wedgwood for Colorado. He actually was pretty good for Colorado. But again, Colorado they're very good defensively. They have a good defensive blue line. The line I would go to here is Byfield, Fiala, Ferrier. They were just unbelievable last year. Byfield, you can say whatever you want about Byfield. He's not the best for DFS. He's not the best for best puck. He is a man, and he is disgustingly good at hockey. So, like, Fiala plays a ton. Ferrier is the prince of doing stuff. Like, the dude just shoots the puck, blocks the puck. He's involved in everything. 20.8% ownership is the sticking point for me. I prefer them to Colorado too, so like I'm fine with LA 2 here. You want to go to LA 3, I think that's also fine. The problem is that ownership is really high for a $12,000 line, 13.4% for Deneau, Fogle, Moore. They were really, really good last year as well. I think, if you do want to go to 2 mid-range lines, Kuzmenko, Kempe, Kopitar, is certainly fine. Like, when Kuzmenko got there, we were kind of skeptical of Kuzmenko, but they were really good, and Kuzmenko really helped on the power play. So, I mean, by really helped, it made them not tremendously awful, still kind of bad. But that's a big help. So, like, I'm fine with LA 1 here. For me, it's Colorado 1, then LA 2, then Colorado 2, then LA 3, then LA 1.
So I'm going to start on the Colorado side here. You and I mentioned it a few times on shows last year. Some guys are just matchup proof, right? It's a good bit of advice that I got years and years ago. It was like Connor McDavid's like second season or something like that. And it was a tough matchup going up against the Bruins, and he diced the Bruins. I just want to mention this. Over the last 2 years, Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar have been on the ice for nearly 26 minutes of 5-on-5 time together against Mikey Anderson. In that time with Cale Makar and Nathan McKinnon on the ice, in those 26 minutes, Colorado scored 3 goals. Do you know what I mean? Like, their expected goals rate is also really high. Drew Doughty, I do think, is a step down from Gavrikov as well. I don't think it's not a great matchup for Colorado. I want to get that like out of the way, and like first and foremost. But I agree with you that I think the Kings defense is worse defensively now than it was last year. And we know how good that Colorado top line was last year. Like, I was looking earlier, Martin Necas shot 50% more often when he had Nathan McKinnon as a center than when he didn't. 50%. Even Nathan McKinnon's shot rate went up 12% when he had Necas next to him. Those guys were dynamite at 5-on-5. And like I said, over the last couple of years going up against Mikey Anderson, who might be the best defensive defenseman in hockey, they absolutely torched him. And I think one thing is like the Kings aren't a fast team. Okay. Like, they're well-structured, well-coached. They have, guys are rarely out of position, but they're not fast. And Colorado is a fast team. And all it takes is one puck bobble or one guy to kind of lose an edge a little bit from Los Angeles, and Colorado is gone. So I do like the matchup. I don't mind the matchup for Colorado 1. And I'll mention something else. There are 5 players projected for at least 13 DK points on Stochastic here tonight. Sergei Bobrovsky, 27% ownership. Sam Reinhart, 29% ownership. Igor Shesterkin, 34%. Artemi Panarin, 33%. Nathan McKinnon, 17%. You know what I mean? Like, he is by far the least owned player of the guys with the high projections. And at 8,500, if Nathan McKinnon does Nathan McKinnon things, in 6 weeks, he's over 10K. You know what I mean? And even if he's not like doing complete Nathan McKinnon things, he's 9,500 in a month's time. It's not that I think it's a tremendous matchup for Colorado 1, but they were really good last year. Everybody's healthy. There's not a ton of ownership. As you mentioned, there's only 11.6% ownership on that top line. Like, if I'm paying up for a top line tonight, like an expensive top line, it's Colorado 1. And I think it's an easy call for me. The second line is interesting because Nelson and Landeskog, it wasn't a big sample, it was only about 50 minutes, but they were great together last year in the playoffs. Like, I mean, great. Nelson and Landeskog, 83 shot attempts, 3.3 expected goals per 60 in their time together in the playoffs last year. When Landeskog was healthy, like his last few years before he got hurt, his 82 game averages was like 37 goals, 43 assists, and 230 shots. Like, he was a great offensive player. He doesn't have top power play time, and that sucks. The Kings, like, basically after a tough first month or so last year, their penalty kill was generally great. We'll see what it's like with a different defense group this year. I think Colorado too is fine, but they're kind of in that no man's land for me at 14,100, right? Where if I want a true cheap stack, like, I'll save a couple grand, go play Chicago 2. You know, if I need to save even more, I'll go play Pittsburgh 3 or something like that. Or I'll just pay up an extra couple grand and go play the Rangers, JT Miller, make his Spanish headline. That's why, like, they're just kind of in no man land for me. And I don't really have a ton of interest in the Colorado depth. You know, if you want a one-off Ross Colton or something like that, I think that's fine. His shot rate per minute is okay. But for me, it's a Colorado one game if I'm playing the Avs. Like, I'm not super concerned about the matchup. On the Kings side, Kempe, Kuzmenko, Kopitar, I'm not particularly high on them, but this is also a perfectly correlated line at home facing a backup goalie on a 3-game slate at 7% ownership. You know what I mean? Like, I do think there are a lot of reasons to play that top line. I do think that second line is their best line, Fiala, Byfield, Laferriere. I do worry that Laferriere is, like, he's playing, but even I'm pretty sure the coach a day or two ago said he's not 100%. So, like, they have him in the lineup, but he's not completely healthy. I do think Byfield takes a step forward. Obviously, him and Fiala are on the top power play. They're kind of in that no man's land as well. But if I'm paying like between 14 and 15K for a line, it's Kings 2 over Colorado 2. I think Kings 3 is also perfectly fine. You know, Deneau, Fogle, and Moore, they're great defensively. They're going to get their ice time because they're going to be using a shutdown role against McKinnon. They go out quite a bit with Mikey Anderson. So I don't mind Los Angeles 3, but I think this is a game where, given how good McKinnon and Makar have been, even against great defensive lines from the Kings, I want to play Colorado 1. And given that the Kings top line is perfectly correlated at 7% ownership on a 3-game slate, I would want to play either of the top lines out of this game more than the depth.
Yep. Looking at the the Panthers and the Blackhawk lines, they are as expected. Let's talk about defensemen. Excuse me. At the top of the board, we have Makar, Fox, and Carlson. Makar, obviously the most expensive at 7,500. Fox, 6,500. Carlson, 5,100. Don't have a ton of interest in Carlson here. If I'm spending up, it will be between Makar and Fox. Fox really isn't a huge peripheral guy, so you really need him to hit the score sheet. So I'd be more likely to play Fox in Rangers stacks only. I think Makar in any type of format is fine. Cash, GPP. One-off in a Colorado stack, on the moon, on Jupiter, whatever. I think he is obviously the premier defenseman there. And before I kick it to Cliffy, I think obviously Sam Rinzel at 4,100 has everyone in the hockey community's attention. But yeah, for me, pound for pound, it's Cale Makar.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the stochastic projections, Cale Makar is at 12.7. Adam Fox is the next closest at about 9.6. So, like, Cale Makar is projected for like 30% more fantasy points than the next closest defenseman. Like, he's easily the number one here. And again, in a month's time, you could see Cale Makar at 9K. Like, he's underpriced at 7,500. So I think, you know, if you want to play him as a one-off, I think that's perfectly fine. Like, this could easily be a 3-1 game where he has a goal and an assist. You know what I mean? Something like that. So I think Makar is fine as a one-off. Adam Fox, I'll mention, like, I know everybody wants to talk about him having a down year last year or whatever. His points per 60 minutes at even strengths were a four-year high, like the best of his last 4 years. The entire problem was the power play. And you brought up Sullivan's struggles, how Pittsburgh basically until the second half of the season last year for years struggled with the power play. So I'm skeptical that the Rangers power play is going to turn around, but it's like, if it's going to turn around, home opener against the Pittsburgh Penguins with Artur Silovs feels like the spot to kind of, say, hey, our power play is a little bit better. So I don't mind Fox, but I agree with you. It would be in Ranger stacks. He has the worst point per dollar mark of the top 10 defensemen on the board here tonight. So I do like Makar. I don't dislike Carlson. Just because he does get ice time, it is top power play. He still does shoot a bit. He can block a few shots. Like, I think it's fine. But I do like Sam Rinzel at 4,100. Take the preseason for what it's worth, but he was shooting the puck quite a bit in the preseason. This is a guy who is known for shooting. It's why he's running the top power play unit. So at 4,100, I think it's fine. I don't think he gets a ton of ice time. I think his best case this year would be like a Shane Gostisbehere who shoots a little bit more. Like, his best case would be like 40 to 45 points with decent shot volume. So I don't mind Rinzel. Aaron Ekblad, I don't mind either. I'm not super high on him, but in that mid 4K range, like, I think he's fine. If you need cheaper guys, like, I think Vladislav Gavrikov is perfectly fine for the Rangers because, he does block shots. As long as he's playing on the top pair with Adam Fox, he's going to play with the top 6 from the Rangers. You know what I mean? So he's going to get talented forwards to skate with. So I don't mind Gavrikov at 3,300. I'll mention Nico Mikkola as well. I know somebody was asking earlier about cheap guys under 3K. Nico Mikkola has a 1.8 point per $1,000 value on Stochastic tonight. That's fine for his price, so I don't mind Mikkola. I'll mention Brant Clark here. Remember, last year, Brant Clark, there were times he was like 5K plus, right? Now, I know he's kind of projected to play on the third pair. He's not going to get a ton of minutes, but this is a guy who does shoot and does block shots. If he can just get like 18 minutes against a Kings team or against a Colorado team, that puts up, that shoots a lot, like, he could have a decent peripheral game. I think he's going to have a big season at 3,400. I feel like he's only going to get more expensive from here on out. So I don't mind Brant Clark at 3,400. And I'll mention Carson Soucy as well, just because I do think, he's playing on the second pair. The Pittsburgh Penguins tend to generate a decent amount of shots. So I think Soucy's fine. So Gavrikov, Mikkola, Soucy, Clark, those are kind of the cheap guys I like.
Yes, Haas. Dr. Pepper Zero Elite. Check my dogs. You want to come, Bobby, pull up in your Tesla. I'll drop my dogs off in there for the show. But yeah, let's talk about goalies real quick. The slate locks in a minute and a half. This is a tough time for the dogs because there's tons of kids in the neighborhood. But at the top of the board, Bobrovsky, Shesterkin, Wedgwood, Silovs, and Knight, I think, and then Kemper is the only unconfirmed. But Igor Shesterkin, number 1 for me. I worry a little bit about Bob here at 8,400. He needs a shutout. I do worry without Barkov and Tkachuk. Spencer Knight is the interesting one for me. You mentioned how without Barkov and Tkachuk, or with Barkov and Tkachuk, they were still pretty bad at 5-on-5 scoring. So as long as the Hawks don't take 93 penalties, I think Spencer Knight can see the saves bonus at 7K. So for me, really, it's Igor and Knight. If you want to play Kemper, I think that's fine. Wedgwood, I think they're all fine outside of Silovs, but like for me, it's Shesterkin or Knight.
Yeah, if you have the money and you're looking to spend over 8K, for me, it's Igor Shesterkin. He's the best point per dollar value. He's the number 1 projected goalie. He's the best goalie on this slate also. So like, I have no problem just going to Shesterkin. If I need to save a bunch of money, I have no problem playing Spencer Knight. I'm going to be honest, just because no Barkov, no Tkachuk. This was a bottom third of the league team by even strength scoring last year. The power play is going to be worse without them. If you need a punt goalie, I think Knight is fine. If you're looking in between, for me, it's Darcy Kemper. Colorado does generate a lot of shots. Sometimes they don't generate a lot of goals. So if I'm paying all the way up, it's Shesterkin. If I need a punt goalie, it's Spencer Knight. If I'm in between somewhere, it's Darcy Kemper.
We will be back tomorrow for the 4-game slate and Saturday. Today's Wednesday, right? Yeah, tomorrow. No. Yeah, we'll be here Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. I'm so confused. But who are you liking for your hat trick pick?
I'm going to your boys. I'm going to say he has a bit of a rebound season. I'm going with DJ Mika Zibanejad.
He needs a bounce back because they were trying to trade him, and he was like, I don't want to go nowhere. I'm going with the former Hab, so we'll stick with the you have my guy, I have your guy. I'm going Arturi Lehkonen.
One of the biggest goals in the last 20 years of Montreal Canadiens history, so love the guy.
Yes, but good luck, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Lots of guys live before lock, but we'll see you tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. That'll be our normal slot going forward. Good luck, everybody, tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Good luck, everyone.